Okay, so I'm gonna move a little closer to the camera. That was Willie Nelson's "Crazy," basically the arrangement that Patsy Cline did on her record that really made that song a big hit. Um, I'm sitting so you can see what I'm doing on the Stradella bass. I'm just going to start playing through bits of the song, and I'll point out a couple of spots where I do a couple of little crazy Stradella tricks that a lot of people will say there's no way to do these things, or these things are impractical, or they're not worth it. You should just play more notes in the right hand. I don't feel that playing notes in the right hand necessarily always replaces having the same notes in the bass, because the tone is different, and you may want that contrast in tone, or even in the place where the sound comes from. If you're in the same room with the accordion, you can hear that it's coming from two different places. Anyway, I'm just going to start the song and talk through a couple of bits. And I started out with this chromatic run, which is a lot more subtle on the record, because I think it's just a guitar that does the run up to the four chord. But I like that run, and so I really fill it out. So I started like that. That's not on the record. That open fifths kind of sound is not on the record, but it refers to that side slip thing that Floyd Kramer does. So it's an inversion of that. You take the F, bring the F down, so you're playing an open fifth, F and C in the right hand, and then it's just up chromatically, and then you're up to the E flat. that's a minor 7 chord that I'm playing strictly in the left hand. I've got my fourth finger on the counterbass, playing a D in the B flat row, and I'm playing an F major chord in the F row with my second finger right here. So that combination makes the D minor 7. So I played E flat, now D minor, and now C minor 7, using C in the main bass row and E flat major in the chorus. We're past the introduction now, and this is the main melody. Now I could have played a trick that I'm going to show you in a second to get from the A flat 7. If I were somewhere else on the keyboard, on the button board, I would be able to do this, to go down a half step a different way, which I'll show you. But because I'm near the end, I don't have all the notes that I would need in my to make the chord. So you got to do the jump sometimes. Back to the top of the melody after the intro. There's that minor 7 chord again with C and E flat major. Now what was that? This is an F augmented chord. How am I playing that? I'm playing F on the main bass row, in the F row, of course. And with my index finger here, I'm playing A7. It's a bit of a long reach, but it gives you that F augmented 9th chord because the A7 has A, C sharp, and G in it. So in context, let me go back. So that's how it fits. So that, there's the C minor 7 chord again, and then C sharp diminished, proper diminished, not with the diminished row, but the note, there it is, the notes of the C sharp diminished chords. And that diminished chord is from the G row. So that's a G minor 6 voicing from the G main row, but I'm playing a C sharp with my middle finger to get that, to make it a C sharp diminished chord. So again, the run is B flat major, C minor 7, using C in the bass and E flat major chord, and then the C sharp diminished chord, and then up to a D, and I play a B flat 7 chord with the D. So I'm playing D in the counterbass with my fourth finger, and the B flat 7 with my index finger. And that leads me to the 4 chord, E flat. So that run again in context is so that's that same, I'm using E diminished now, the same trick that I used with C sharp a minute ago. I'm playing probably most people are familiar with that. It's pretty common on accordion. So that's B flat major with my fourth finger, and F, the fifth of the chord, with my middle finger. And now watch this. So what did I do? This is the thing that actually made me make this video. Here I'm playing dominant chords using counterbass buttons and diminished chords from 5 scale degrees away. So that's a normal B flat 7 chord, B flat in the bass, second finger on B flat 7. And then I want to go down to A7. The progression is B flat 7, A7, B flat 7 again, and then B7, and then C7. So it's a chromatic to get from the 1 to the 2 dominant, or the 5 of 5. So so rather than play jumps like you can learn to do that. I could learn to do it better probably, but rather than hop all over the keys like that, I can leave my hand in one place and just move my fingers. So that gets me to that C chord. So going back a little bit to put that in context. There's that F augmented again. B diminished using the same trick. Now we're in a new key, but I'm using all the same tricks as before, these minor 7 chords. And now the outro, the ending, kind of recaps the introduction, but we're a half step up from where we were. And then I like to end it with a little Jimmy Webb quote. So that's a few of the Stradella tricks. The two that most people don't use and that I think are useful a lot, that and people should know about them more, are the dominant chord that you play with a index finger on the counterbass row, and the diminished chord from the 5th scale degree away. So for example, if I wanted to play an A7 chord, I would first get into the F row. So there's F, main bass. There's A, played in the counterbass row. And now I'm going to put my pinky finger on E diminished, which gives me the G, the C sharp, and the E that I need to make an A7 chord. Now the 5th is present in this voicing. That's the E natural. And that is different from what you get in the main bass row with an A. So there's no E in that voicing. That's that voicing right there has A, G, and C sharp in it. So you can play an augmented dominant with that and not get a clash. Either one of those notes sound good. Those are E and F. But if you want to use this this trick of I can't call it mine. It's just a thing that you do by finding the notes you want. But this voicing with the A and the counterbass row and your pinky on a diminished chord has the fifth scale degree, the E in it in this case. Hear it in there? So there's a clash if you play an F with it to make an augmented chord. That doesn't sound the same as when the E wasn't there on the Stradella side. So that's not. It's not useful in exactly the same set of situations, but for something like this. That chromatic movement of dominant chords is really useful as long as the fifth doesn't cause a clash. So that's thing number one that most people don't do and that I think ought to be better known. The other one is that augmented voicing, which is, as I said, a bit of a reach, but from, for example, F to A7, A7 with your index finger, F with your pinky. So the voicing is or F, A, C sharp, G. And again, it's not useful for every case where you would want an augmented chord, but if you can tolerate the natural ninth, in this case the G, being in the voicing, and you don't strictly need it to have a dominant quality, for example, you don't need an E flat in there. If those are the case, there's a good chance that this way of playing an augmented chord on Stradella will work for you in a lot of situations. And I think it sounds really sweet in that little fermata spot in Crazy. Anyway, those are the two things, and then there's the couple of minor 7 places. So C and E flat major, or D and F major, or that's A and C major. Same minor 7 voicing, but there it is with D and F major. That's my fourth finger on the counterbass D and my index finger on F major. Okay, I think I've prattled on a long time for just showing you these small things, so I'm going to bid you happy music playing, and feel free to hit me with comments, questions, and I'll be trying to answer them as best I can. Thanks for watching. Bye.